Bob Cattell. I've been speaking for 32 years all over the world to over 5 million people. And my latest message begins with my son saying to me, "Dad, do you know that there's something different about you?" I go, "What's that?" "Dad, you used to be like a mosquito on cocaine. It was always go, 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 go. It was so intense. You were actually difficult to be around sometimes because of your intensity. But Dad, you just sat there and talked to me for an hour." He goes, "This has never happened before. What happened?" Well, I went from panic to peace in the last 6 years. I went from busy brain to a quiet mind. And I went from having to go, go, go all the time to just being peaceful. Could it be that connection is the cure to the anxiety that's exploding everywhere around this country? I just really became aware of that the last couple of months. I was at Utah State University. After I got through teaching connection to the students there, the person who had put this entire event together came up to me and said, "Bob, you need to go to the National Association for Campus Activities and present to all the universities, and your schedule will be completely filled because you're talking about the #1 crisis going across this country." I go, "What's that?" He goes, "Mental health." So I got home, got on the internet, and I saw that that's true. I went to Brigham Young University. I said, "Is it true that you're being overwhelmed with anxiety?" They said, "Uh-huh." In fact, one of the people there said they're at 175% of capacity. University of Oregon. I was talking to a gal on the plane. She said, "Oh yeah, my daughter's suffering anxiety." I said, "Go to the crisis center at the university." And she went in there and they said, "Well, we could see you in 3 weeks." Then she started calling psychiatrists all over the area and all of their schedules were full. So I'm finding, then I went into Lake Ridge Junior High School. I've been there 11 years in a row doing a motivational seminar for the kids. Before the event started, I talked to the principal of one of the counselors and I said, "Is anxiety exploding in your school?" They said, "Uh-huh." "Are you putting out fires all day with kids that are in crisis?" They go, "Uh-huh." And then I called a school in New York and I found out as I talked to schools that this is going on everywhere. And then I found out that it's not just in the schools and it's not just the kids. Ask just about anyone. Do you know someone suffering from anxiety? And it's exploding everywhere. So I'm on the front end of this. For the last 6 years, I went and found all the things that don't work. I found the things that seem to make a big difference. But the biggest difference seemed to be connection. You see, when I had this massive anxiety going on, I learned all about positivity. I'm a speaker. I speak. I spoke on positivity because I went from a negative bias to a positive bias. And I learned about gratitude, and I learned about happiness, and I learned about service. And then it occurred to me, I am the most positive, grateful, service-oriented, anxious person on the planet. None of those were working. And then I ran into someone, and he said, "Bob, let me tell you what's going on. When you have something going inside like anxiety, you try to stay real busy to kind of push it away. It's like a Band-Aid, and it didn't work, did it?" I go, "No." Then what you did was you tried to reframe it. I go, "What do you mean?" "You took a negative to a positive. You took an ungrateful to a grateful. And I'll bet your life got better, but it was like putting Band-Aids on things again, and the anxiety didn't go away." I said, "You're right." He says, "Then I'll tell you what you did. You tried to serve people. If you're sitting at home and you're worried or anxious, just go serve people, and you feel better while you're serving them. It works. But then you came back home and the Band-Aid's not there anymore and it came right back." I said, "Uh-huh." He said, "Well, I'm going to teach you how to get connected with others and connected with yourself, and the way you experience life will get better." 4 months later, I called him. I said, "What have you done to me?" He goes, "What?" I said, "My mind went calm." Oh my heavens. The lights came on. It's so beautiful outside. When my mind isn't spinning around all day, I have time to see the beauty that's all around me. I have time to see people around me like I couldn't see before. I could start hearing birds chirping again. He says, "Bob, you know what? We have peace, but many of us can't feel it. We can't feel our connection to God or to our Heavenly Father because our mind is making too much noise." So I saw a big change in me happen with that one particular idea of connecting with others. And as my mind cleared, something else occurred to me. This is another big step for a lot of people, that the documentaries of our mind. For instance, if you watch a documentary of World War II, it's terrible. Carnage and all this ugly thing happened, but it's over. It's not real anymore. But how many of us are playing documentaries of our past and they're making us sad? And then I realized a lot of us watch these horror films of the future and the way it could be, and we get all anxious. And I thought, you know what? We do that in our minds. We play these movies of the future like, will I have enough money? Will I ever make it back to heaven? Will I ever? And we start playing those movies and they create a lot of anxiety. So I saw this in action one day when I was talking to a young lady who was scared to death about her soccer game coming up on that Saturday. I says, well, how come you're scared of the soccer game on Saturday? She goes, well, I'm afraid I'm going to fall down. And I'm afraid that the coach is going to yell at me. And I'm afraid that, we're going to lose the game. And, her anxiety was real. The emotion is real. But it was coming from a place that wasn't. You see, have you ever watched a scary movie and then you just wake up and go, wait a second, these are actors and actresses. As soon as I realize that, all the fear goes away. So I said to her, are you playing soccer on Saturday? Let me remind you, it's Tuesday. She goes, what? I said, are you playing soccer on Saturday right now here in the living room? She goes, well, no. I said, did you fall down on Saturday? She goes, no. Did the coach yell at you and take you out of the game on Saturday? She goes, no. And did you lose on Saturday? She goes, well, no. I said, so would you agree with me that you're playing a movie in your mind that's not real? It doesn't exist. So jump back into the movie. How does it feel being in that movie and seeing yourself fall and seeing the coach yell at you? He goes, I feel anxiety. I said, okay, here's the question. What would you experience right now in this moment sitting here with me without that movie playing that's not real? And a lot of the young kids just get it very quickly. She started smiling, then she started laughing. She said, I would be happy. I would be at peace. And she got it in that moment. I was sitting there going, this isn't fair. It took me months to figure this out. So later on in the conversation, she started playing a documentary of the past. She was telling me how angry she was at her sister and she was feeling anger. And then she stopped and she started laughing. She goes, that's a movie of the past. It's not real. And she rolled on the floor and said, you're blowing my mind. So these two ideas, what if connection could calm our anxiety? And what if understanding how thought really works? If we could be in the moment, what a difference that would make. So why do I do this? People ask me, Bob, why do you speak? Why do you want to get this message out there? Because every time I give this 2-hour workshop of how I went from panic to peace, something amazing happens and somebody calls me and says, like that young lady, my anxiety's completely gone away. Like another young lady who said, I have the same workload in school, but it's fun now. I study when I study, and then I can just put it away and not play the movie over and over in my mind that I'm going to fail or not get it. She goes, when I go to take the test, I'm not full of anxiety anymore because I'm not thinking about, did I pass, did I fail? And she said, I can just sit there and enjoy. She goes, my experience of life has gotten better. So, Bob could tell how I went from, I got one more little story for you. My doctor, 6 years ago, because of my massive panic that I was going through, I had an event that triggered it 6 years ago, and I'm having these massive panic attacks. And for whatever reason, when I stepped onto the stage with like 30,000 people in the Georgia Dome, it just went away while I was on stage because I was focused. I was distracting myself. But when I walked off stage and went into the crown room, I curled up into these ridiculous, ugly panic attacks. My doctor told me 6 years ago, Bob, you're going to die. I go, well, what do you mean? If we don't get this under control, you have an arrhythmia. Your muscles are all inflamed. Your internal organs are going to start shutting down. He goes, I can't believe you've lasted this long. Most people start getting addicted on drugs, or they go do something, or they end their life to end the pain. And that's what I realized one day. We don't end our life to end our life. We do it to end the pain. He says, Bob, we've got to figure this out. 6 years later, just last month, I'm sitting there with my doctor, and he's looking at me. And he says, do you realize how calm you are? He goes, we need to talk because half of my day is spent with people, mostly students, that are in massive anxiety. He goes, you need to tell me the process of how you got here. So that's why I want to actually be in this show, because it will help me get that word out to many more people and hopefully reduce the anxiety in their lives. Thank you.